I'm eating some Doritos. Judge me if you want to. Today you're gonna call me a pimp named Slipback, and I'm going to watch a video to this girl, the real Kaya. Probably heard of her. She posts some interesting things that really make you think, and I love the fact that she's been going on like a spiritual journey for a while. But with me, honestly, I say let's get into it. That means play.
And people on TikTok are speculating that this is the works of Annabelle. Look.
Oh, it's really strange. Apparently, Annabelle started a plantation on fire.
Is she in cahoots with our ancestors? And they are trying to connect Annabelle when she was on tour before she left Louisiana, that her spirit being in Louisiana caused the fire of the Nottoway Plantation that burnt down.
She like white folk in general.
And every place she went to, some bad shit happened. She went to Louisiana. 11 people broke out of jail. Nottoway Plantation burnt down. And if you look at those photos from the fire, you can see spirits in the photo. She went to Virginia, and Virginia ain't been right since. Raining, floods, and then she just went to San Antonio, Texas. Do I need to tell y'all what happened there? A damn 18-wheeler randomly exploded on the highway, and they had some fires there too. There is videos with people standing online.
Hold on. So you're telling me that Annabelle is the one causing all the Final Destination movies?
You see this dog. Y'all don't respect it. You see the aftermath of every place she been.
I looked at the spot, specifically Virginia. It's actually flooding. It's yeah.
This was the largest plantation house in the South, owned by one of the richest enslavers in the South.
And some people on TikTok are speculating that Annabelle did this, but we gonna deep dive. You know how we do it over here. We doing the background on the plantation, the physical and the spiritual history. We investigating on what's been going on at the plantation, analyzing why Annabelle is connected to it and what has happened in the past states that she has visited on her tour, and reviewing the different opinions and the theories of our fellow collective. Let's go, y'all. Okay, so the first location that she visited was West Virginia Penitentiary, and it's very, very haunted, and that's why they brought her there, to interact with the spirits there. But if anybody doesn't know what happened or what's going on over there, here's a quick review.
West Virginia. The penitentiary was open for about 129 years. It opened in 1866 and closed in 1995. When they did close their doors, the penitentiary had 652 very violent inmates still in there, and roughly a third of those were serving life. During the last 75 years that it was open, they had 998 deaths in the building. 94 of those were from state-sanctioned executions. 85 of those are which were from, on the rope. And 9 went to Old Sparky. Right. In the 1920s, the prisons was extremely overcrowded. There were roughly 2,700 inmates living where there was only supposed to be 800 inmates. Due to the overcrowding, there was a lot of diseases and sicknesses that spread quickly through the whole prison. Tuberculosis, smallpox, influenza, and a lot of other things, which is the natural deaths that took place there. There were possibly 45 maybe self-discontinuance, but that's up for debate still. And there are also 36 unalivings. They were all like super pissed because the living conditions in this penitentiary were sickening. There was even stories of maggots falling out of the ceiling and into their food.
So I just realized something. A lot of the lingo that's spoken today is due to streamers and content creators. When they're like, hey, chat. Like, bro, you're talking to like 2 other people around you. Why you calling them chat? I mean, then again, you had a time when they said called everybody gang. That could lead to some issues. But dang, that's just crazy how technology has taken over our language as well.
But on rats in the hole when they were walking through, or just big giant rats coming out and eating their food in the cafeteria, and they had just had enough of it. They had raised so much hell that they were able to get themselves a brand new cafeteria with like 5-star dining food. That all of this to let you know about why this place is haunted. The penitentiary is built like right across the street from a mound, and it's said to be one of the worship mounds.
I apologize if I
and there is a major possibility that the penitentiary was actually built on top of an Indian burial ground. Problem 1. This place is just riddled with shadow people, and there is evidence that I'm about to show you. But here's the backstory first. It was about 1:30 in this morning. This lady was making her way down a hallway, and she heard this
Is it me or
metallic
is she
clanging,
talking?
something
Goddamn right.
metallic just going on behind her. So, just like anybody else would do, she turned around to see what the heck it was. And when she saw it, it looked at her. She shot a flashlight on it to see
I
if
just
it
want
was
you
a
to picture
person,
a
and
shadow
it just
man.
put its head
Why
down.
can't you just do that? Like, just
And
give
it
a
was
little
translucent.
introduction, and
And
then
she
boom.
grabbed her camera and she snapped
Shadow
this
man,
picture
like,
right
fight
here.
nuts.
Yeah. And this is the kind of figures people see very often at this penitentiary. It's in this area. There's disembodied voices, footsteps, shuffling, and a whole lot more. There's so much with this penitentiary, y'all, that it deserves a part 2.
So not only was this penitentiary speculatedly built over a Indian burial ground. I don't like to say Indian, but Native
Stop with your
American
hands. Stop with your
burial
hands.
ground. But all
I
of
got
the
one, okay?
energetically dense, low vibrational stuff happening at this place. Of course it's haunted. It's on top of sacred land. And this is a lot of what's been going on over America. I did a video covering this exact topic. So if you want to see it, it's right there. What I'm getting straight
We're gonna
is
look
to
for it.
profit off of a place that has already been through so much draining energy, even just in the land, not even in the building, on top of the land, and then inside of the building. And it's so many different energies that's
Random thought. What if the way that the world floods is not all at once, but it's over time by floods happening in different places? So it's not going to be like a giant tsunami wave coming and destroying the planet, but everything gets washed away at a time that's quicker than it would be if it was natural. I wonder. Or hear me out. The fat dude in the chat's mom sat down and it caused everything to go ahead and just, you know how the waves do with the rip. I'm joking. That's so rude.
in there that has been going through so much to create a haunting and profit off of this place and this sacred land. I don't know how it was approved. I don't know the whole process of how you are able to create something like that inside of that place and sell tickets, but I can understand why the flood happened. Leaving out of Virginia, we are sending whatever love, healing, and peace that it needs in that space. Now Annabelle has been moved to New Orleans. And as you saw at the beginning of this,
You know what's wild? She is so adorable. Like, I love her eyes. But at the same time, I feel like she could still be, or in a past time, she was that girl who was always ready to fight. It's wild.
video, that's the response. Let's get into the past, the present, and the spiritual. Okay, so in the last video, we covered the Annabelle story. We covered exactly what happened and how she was created and the problems that happened on the set of the movies of the Annabelle, the story between Ed and Lorraine. Now we're going over the tours that she has been on. And I'm giving you what's in this rabbit hole. Let's get into it. Okay, so here's what happened in the past.
The scene behind me is a plantation house in Louisiana that is burned down. It's burning down in this video. But this is not just any plantation house. This was the largest plantation house in the South, owned by one of the richest enslavers in the South. This is the Nottoway Plantation in Louisiana. It was built by enslaved Africans in 1859. It was owned by this guy, John Randolph. Now, John wasn't even from Louisiana. He was from Virginia originally, but he came from a wealthy slave-owning family, and his dad was hired by the federal government to do something in Louisiana, and he moved with him. Now, originally, he wanted to make it into a cotton plantation, the same type of plantation that he was used to in Virginia. But he noticed that the climate in Louisiana was a lot different, so he changed it to a sugar plantation. And because of that, he ended up tripling his family's wealth. John Randolph enslaved 176 people, but the plantation house itself was built around the same time as the Civil War. John didn't want to fight in the Civil War. He was scared. So he sent 3 of his sons and he asked, how much money do I have to give to keep me out of this? And he was a huge financial backer of the Confederacy in Louisiana. When he realized that the Confederacy was losing, he left his wife in Louisiana, took 200 slaves, and went to Texas. Once the Civil War was over, he contracted with 53 bonded people, basically people that owed him money and were working to pay it off. It's just another form of slavery. He eventually died in 1883, and his wife eventually sold the plantation for $50,000. That's the equivalent of $1.9 million today. And now he has no legacy at all.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Don't mind my eye twitching and my facial expressions as I'm listening to this. Y'all know how I feel when I used to do the deep dives on the dark history. Anytime a conversation or a story of slavery is happening, it's just I be had like my, you know, that old part, that old angry part be trying to come through, and I just be
yo. What did I say in the beginning? What did I say in the beginning? She seemed like the type of girl that would sit there, and in the past, she was the one that was always ready to fight, ready to crack off. Oh, look into the eyes. They don't deceive. That is something I learned throughout my years. Don't doubt the feeling you get when you look someone in the eyes. I could have avoided a lot of things, but it's going to be a fun little podcast episode. Once where you get to see who I am.
Yeah, we saw the his story of the past. Let's look at the present.
Nottoway Plantation marketed itself as a luxury resort. On their website, they bragged that it was a gorgeous...
All right. Does this white lady have on a filter? Is she young? Or does she just learn the recipe from us? Because she looks young in the face. But the hair is giving like, I'm confused. I'm curious. I'm confused and curious. So yeah, we're going to find out, because either she stole the secret, she is young, or yeah. Anywho.
resort getaway with these beautiful trees, this, that, and the other. And then you go back and you find that video of, the tours that they were giving. They were bragging that their slaves were treated very well and that descendants of the enslaved still worked at the Nottoway Resort.
Okay, give me a second. Here's the video.
In this region, and that's because when he purchased a slave, if the slave had a wife and children, he'd buy the whole family so that they would never be separated. And so that was good for them. Then in the village, he built a cottage for each of those families so they didn't have to share with multiple families and squeeze into one space. So that was good too. They could hunt, they could fish, so they could buy for their own food. And they also built a hospital for them, and there was a doctor who would visit every week. And the doctor trained one of the slaves to be a nurse, take care of them. So from the readings that we have, it sounds like the slaves were treated fairly well. From the readings that we have, it sounds like the slaves were treated fairly well as the slaves can be treated. When the war ended, the majority of the slaves stayed down.
Swerve, pause. What the wow. Okay.
We actually have descendants of the slaves who still work here today.
Don't crash
Use my
out.
language.
Don't crash out. Just calm down. It's not called a plantation. It's called a resort now. Ow. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
Stay with me, because there is some things about this resort and 4-star hotel that burned down that nobody is talking about, and my jaw was literally on the floor. It's very clear that it being is not its main focus. It does seem like they've started giving tours again, but this is for weddings and events. They do have a history tab and a drop-down menu. The only thing you're going to find is a list of 16 majestic oak trees that are found on the property. These oak trees are named, and for a brief moment I was like, oh, are they named after enslaved people? Is this like a memorial? No, it's named after the 11 children of the enslaver. As I was combing through trying to find any information on the enslaved people here, this tab for cottages underneath where you can stay caught my eye. Each cottage has 2 individual units with a single covered porch and oversized rocking chairs, and it's like, oh my god, how tasteless to have something like that on the property given the history. No, I don't think these are fresh cottages. I think they repurposed cabins on site with welcoming beds and full amenities. Oh, thank God. Thank God my slave cabin comes with a hairdryer and an iron. There's at least one of these still around, but this is an unmarked photo. There is no information about this photo. In fact, the only time I saw anything that had anything to do with a person of color
Don't crash out.
were these god-awful candelabras. But with this burning down, we lost a haunted wedding venue at best. And it seems like a place that was literally like Airbnb-ing slave cabins. So
The other Kaya, I swear it gets along so well with the other me. It took me a second to realize that it wasn't me saying don't crash out.
2020 Kaya, it would have took her at least 30 minutes to calm down and get to a more stable state. It only took me 5 minutes. So I'm getting somewhere with hearing stuff like this. I'm getting somewhere, because now we know that mother is burnt down. Here's a tour guide saying his side.
I used to be a tour guide at Nottoway Plantation. Nottoway was not talking about history properly. They regularly threatened my job because I was, quote, too emotional about the historical context and slavery there. I was there from 2017 till 2020 when COVID hit. The amount of ridiculous nonsense that I had to talk about on that tour was overwhelming. Dutch people, when they came in, because there were thousands of people from all around the world that would come in, the Dutch people knew more about the history of the transatlantic slave trade than the majority of people that worked at the plantation. I'm glad it burned down. Make no mistake. The type of history that they were teaching there was a bunch of just headline stuff. It was a bunch of buzzword stuff. I mean, honestly, I'm in Facebook groups and looking at people's posts about it being burned down. And the only thing that they're talking about is, this architecture. Oh, did you know that they would hide jewelry in the bedpost? Oh, did you know that these curtains were reproductions of the ones from Gone with the Wind? And the way that the script for the tour was written was framing John Randolph as a slave owner who wasn't that bad. He was nice, blah, blah, blah. And I absolutely refused to talk about that. I went against the grain. I even upset somebody to the point where they told me that calling him a shyster was racist. Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, he was a shrewd and calculating businessman who put profit above all else, including his own family. And he was a coward who ran away to Texas whenever the war started. There's all this mythology about how, the lady of the house went out one time, and the reason why the house was saved is because she had a knife under her skirt, and she was ready to kill those people, blah, blah, blah. She went ahead and said that they could stay there as long as they kept it up. There's zero proof or evidence of any of that. There are tons of paintings all around the house where they're like, this was the family, this was the family, this was the daughter, this was that. And like, none of it is true. None of it is true. I remember whenever the news stations from all around the country were calling Plantations and asking them to make a comment on the Knot, that wedding magazine, removing plantation weddings from their advertisements. And I couldn't give any sort of statement, but I went off record and went on.
I just hold on. Just give me a second. Motherfuckers got him.
So I had to get up and step away because I was about to put some Doritos that had eggs on them in my mouth. So I'm feeling horrible right now.
Spell is to keep the illusion alive.
I wanted to walk y'all through our cute little guest cottages real quick this morning. I am walking through them now for our guests to arrive for this.
See, if I wanted to go viral and shit, I should have recorded that, the eggs on the Dorito. And that shit would have blown the fuck up. But that just goes to show that the first thing that crosses my mind is not grab my phone.
Weekend. The White Magnolia wedding venue is over here, and we have guests coming in this weekend for their rehearsal dinner, wedding, and brunch. But I wanted to walk you through and
man, I really hope that I'm sure I ate some fucking insect eggs. Don't even know what the fuck they are. Well, that goes to show everybody, grab one chip at a time. If you have a bag of anything, grab one at a time and inspect that motherfucker. All right, because that's just fucking disgusting. All right, that's fucking disgusting. Back to the video. I'm sorry.
Show you how cute our little guest cottages are.
I don't care. I gotta get off. I gotta get off of this. I got to get off of this, y'all.
You broke down. They didn't. She didn't break down. They didn't. Oh, they most definitely did. Look like Black history to you?
Okay, I'm ready to hear the spiritual side of it. I want to see. We got to go to the Black culture. Come on.
Ever hear about the deceased enslaved coachman who still thinks he's on the job to this day? Get your popcorn. On today's episode of Plantations that should have been burnt to the damn ground but are now used as bed and breakfasts, event centers, and wedding venues, we have the Nottoway Plantation in White Castle, Louisiana, Mississippi River. This place is massive, y'all. It is actually the largest standing plantation to date. It's 53,000 square feet, has 64 bedrooms, 12 hand-carved fireplaces, amongst a whole bunch of other stuff.
Why does it feel like I'm actually sitting here watching these videos?
A lot of people do stay here because it is a bed and breakfast as well, but this is a very hot...
I feel like at any moment she's gonna be like, can you shut the fuck up, please? Excuse me, I'm gonna have to take that one out. Damn it, I have to edit now. Oh, I messed up.
Spot for weddings. To be honest, this is probably the most breathtaking plantation I've ever seen in my life, y'all. Who would ever want to be married in a plantation? I don't know, but it happens. That's beautiful. That's really nice. Sensational. But like all plantations, this place has a wicked, evil past that has left a lot of souls behind, and the spirits pay reparation. The story starts out with John and Emily Randolph purchasing this plantation. Both of these people were very, very big socialites. They came for money. John's father, who was a senior, was appointed the federal judgeship of Mississippi by President James Monroe. It's not a lot of information on Emily's people other than her father gifted the couple 20 slaves and $20,000 as a wedding gift, which in today's currency is a lot of money. The plantation was to basically set roots and put their family, especially their kids, out into society. Now, initially, Emily's daddy wanted John to run a cotton farm, but John thought that it was oversaturated and decided to harvest sugarcane instead. So when they purchased Nottoway Plantation, they had 5,200 acres and 155 slaves to cater to those said acres. But these people were experiencing spiritual reparations far before the place was even reported haunted. During this time, America was in a civil war, and John pledged his finances, a bunch of money, and his firstborn son to the Confederacy. He actually...
Yo, do you see that comment that says, why do people think that getting married at a place that people were unalived at, etc., is romantic? Just sick. All those wedding photos that they showed earlier in front of the plantation was nothing but people from the Caucasus Mountains, the Mayo monsters. Now, granted, I'm not saying that all you snow bunnies are bad. Y'all do got something about y'all to make a nigga want to keep running back, though.
had all three of his sons fight in the war, but only one was killed, and that was the first son, which we know back then was the golden child, your heir. So this crushed John. But that didn't move him to treat his slaves well. Lynchings, beatings, grapings, unaliving, buck breaking, all of that was a normal, common thing at this plantation. This house remained with them up until 1889 after John's death, and Emily sold it.
That is when...
And for a time, it had deteriorated and almost was nothing.
I mean,
which would have served it right,
like
but
that.
then someone bought it. We'll get to that later.
Oh.
Ghost 1, the coachman. So if you don't know what a coachman is, it is the man that is driving the horse and carriage. And John had a very loyal coachman. To this day, people see this coachman at the gates waiting with the horse and carriage and everything, except there are no horses or carriages on this property. They hear the horses galloping in the middle of the night. They hear the wheels turning on the pavement. They hear the bell. This man shows up at least a couple nights a week. Guests, staff, everyone that steps foot on here has reported seeing him. Go see. The carriage house is haunted by a little slave girl. No one has the details on this little girl, but it's that she was either lynched or died in a very, very slavish way. The little girl was reported to die over 150 years ago, but they see her playing in the carriage house. They've built a parking lot for their events, and they see her in the parking lot. There's also said to be security footage with her clear as day, skipping around the property, playing, acting as if she were still alive, like she doesn't even realize that she's not.
Well,
but
damn.
of course, they'll never let us see that because this is a major moneymaker for whoever owns it now. And who wants to have their wedding at a place that is full of Black spirits? But she spooks security on a regular basis to the point that some of them have resigned. This is room 14 in Ghost 3. Remember earlier I told you guys someone bought this property. Well, in 1980, a lady named Odessa Owens purchased the property and turned it into what it is today. She eventually sold, but it was only under one condition: if the new owners would allow her to die in this room. And they did. But it's said that she never left. She never checked out. Several brides, grooms, groomsmen, bridesmaids, staff, housekeeping have reported seeing a full apparition of Miss Odessa in this room. One housekeeper came out of the bathroom in this room, an ensuite, and seen a full body apparition sitting at the edge of the bed. She stood up and she dissipated into air. It scared her so much she quit. But there's also another spirit that occupies this room that they know is not Odessa.
Who is it?
Whoever it is, they have taken a liking to women with long hair, and they love to plan their hair or touch the back of their neck or run their hands up the back of their neck into the back of their head. And it doesn't matter if you're in the shower, sitting down, like laying down, whatever the spirit is, has a thing for women with long hair. So much so, a bride was staying in this suite and
I mean,
decided right
how
away she
long
was
is
not getting
long?
married there. People have also
Just
reported
asking.
looking in that mirror, and in the back of them, they see an apparition of a woman. All in all, this place is haunted as hell, and I don't know one sane person with moral compass that would ever want to get married at a plantation. Because if I know spirit the way I think I know spirit, spirit is petty. I'd actually like to know the divorce rate of couples that get married on plantations, especially this one.
Damn.
And once she become free, because I'm telling y'all, that is a feminine energy in her, and she's been in there for a very long time. She's trapped in a box. It's telling you not to move. Her who most likely wrote that was...
It's just a freaking doll. Because if it was anything more than a doll, the doll would have never made it out of the mirror.
My For You page has been saying that gingers are black. Is she in cahoots with our ancestors?
Oh my gosh, I told y'all all kind of crazy stuff was happening. Look, the lights are flickering.
I'm gonna have to like go back.
Okay, so this video is getting a little bit too long. We're gonna get into a part 2. I'm already gonna post it. Just go to it. I'm gonna see you there.
Just look at it. Okay, we have reached the end of that.
Consider myself to be spiritual or a part of the spiritual community because if you look, it has turned into like another religion. Just look because of all of the rules. Meditate, do this, raise your vibrations. You need to clear your chakras. You gotta.
I'm sorry, we're done. So yeah, that was Knots Cooking with Kaya, but that was real Kaya. But no, I like her videos because of the fact that she relates to a lot of people by being herself. And that's one thing that I talk about a lot in the podcast is find your authentic self. Be who you are genuinely. And there's going to be a lot of people who are going to not know why they don't like you and come and attack you and all that stuff because of the fact that you are being you, who you are, your authentic self, your true you. And they can't do that because they've been living a lie for so long that they feel they need to keeping that lie to make everybody around them happy. Because if everybody else sees who they truly are, one guy, their life would be over. But yo, this was another episode of Divine Time. I just want to try something new. I thank y'all if y'all stood around. So if you made it to this part, hey, big up. All right, anywho, I'm so freaking childish. That's what she means by I'm animated. I agree. All right, well, I will take that on the chin. Good thing my chin is still. Okay, I won't say it's still. I am. All right, anywho, ADHD moment. Yes, go ahead and like, comments. Comments is the biggest thing for me. I don't care if you don't like. I don't care if you don't share this. Comment. I do this because I like the interaction. And that's all I really seek is interaction. There's a lot of individuals who are going through things mainly because of the fact that they feel alone. And they are alone. And nobody reaches out to them, or either they don't know who to reach out to. And ultimately, this is leading me to my point of doing this podcast and these shows. I'm going to call the things on YouTube shows, and the things that I actually record and put out on the podcast is a podcast. We're getting down to nitty gritty. Talk about real stuff. I'm not saying that this video was not real, but I'm talking in circles as I've been told. So thank you. Big up to you who has informed me of that. I appreciate it. I'm building a community to where people who feel like they don't have a voice can have a voice, to where they have a platform to where they can share the things that they have been through to be able to empower and uplift other individuals. That is my goal for this podcast, because we all have a voice and your voice is powerful. And the things that you have gone through, the things that you have been through, it matters. And you owe it to yourself to teach others how to be strong, how to carry on. And with that, this is Divine Time. Relax your mind. It's Divine Time. Peace, love, and unity.
Hey, beautiful souls. If you love deep conversations about life, love, and spiritual growth, help us reach more like-minded people. Like, comment, and share to push these powerful episodes through the algorithm. Let's build a community that thrives on wisdom and connection. Find us everywhere. YouTube at Danli_Divine. Facebook and Kick at Divine Time Podcast. And also follow the blog, divinetime.blog. If you're looking for your soul tribe, join